All right, Wednesday, January 11th. Today, please have the following items out on your desk. You need your Unit 6 notes packets. We're going to be working on page 4. Before we get to that, we're going to grade assignment 88, which is lesson 6.3 on equation, the percent equation. Make sure you have a calculator. You may borrow a calculator. Just make sure you return it at the end of class. And hopefully you were working on your IXL as you entered class. Don't forget, your IXL is due on Friday. Here we go. So yesterday we talked about the percent equation. The percent equation is A equals P times W. And remember the A, we're looking for the keyword is. This is our amount. And the W, we're going to look for that keyword of, the number that's attached to that. And the most important thing is that P, the percent, is the percent written as a decimal. So as we look at number 1, you were given the of, which is your W, and you have the percent. And remember, you need to have the percent written in decimal form. So if your answer was much larger, like 3,000, then that means you did not move the decimal point over. Number 2, you had the 45, which is your is or A, the part, and the of was the 60. And so this time you're finding the percent, which means you divide, you get 0.75. And remember, now you have to move the decimal point at the end of the question to change it back into the percent form. So 75% is that answer. Number 3, 35% as a decimal is 0.35. The part that is 35 is your A. You're going to divide, and you need to make sure you divide by 0.35, and by doing so, you get 100 for your W, and not 1. Like many of you, if you forgot to move the decimal point, you end up with 1. Number 4, in most classes I did with you because I wanted to see that this is a decimal, but it is a percent. It is a decimal percent, and you need to change it into the percent form by moving the decimal 2 to the left. And so you have 8 thousandths, and you were given the W, which is 150. So 0.8 hundredths of a percent, or 8 tenths of a percent of 150 would give you 1.2. Number 5, you had 29, which is your is or your A. Of was 20. So in this case, your part, your is, was larger than your of, your whole. So you're going to end up with a percent greater than 100. And so you have 145%. Remember, you have to move the decimal point at the end. Number 6 is similar to number 4. You need to move the decimal point over 2 to the left. And so you have 5 thousandths times W, and your A is 12. So you divide, and you get 2,400 for your W. As we look at number 7, you are missing the percent once again, so you're going to have to move the decimal at the end of the question. Your of is 300, which is your W. Your is 51, so underneath A you have 51. And you're going to divide by 300, and you're going to end up with 17%. Okay, remember to move your decimal point in your answer only when you're trying to find the percent, and then label it as a percent. Number 8, you have 120%, which means you're going to end up with 1.2 underneath your P, not 120. And is the 102. You're going to divide, and you get your whole is 85. W is 85. Now, number 9, the trick to this is if you get in the habit of labeling what your percent is. So in this case, this was 125% raised, and so this is your percent raised, which is going to make this A the amount raised. So when I look at the other number, it said you raised 6,750, and that's why I put it underneath A. If it was the original amount or my goal, that would be the whole. And so in this case, we divide, we end up with 5,400. And anytime you have a story problem, go back and reread your question and see if it makes sense. So in this case, if they tell you you raised $6,750 and you raised 125% of your goal, by raising 125%, you're more than the goal. And so you can see that our goal is smaller than what we raised, which is a good indication that we have the correct answer. Number 10 is tricky for many, but what we had to notice is you have these numbers on the circle graph, and those were the number of votes. And so you needed to figure out how many total people are represented by that circle graph, which ends up being 150. So that is your whole. And in this case, they wanted to know what percent voted for candidate B. Candidate B was the 60. And so in this case, if this is the percent that voted for candidate B, then this becomes the amount that voted for candidate B. And so 60 was the amount that voted for candidate B. 150 was our total. Divide, you get 0.4, which is 40% as a decimal. All right, so go ahead and open up to page 4. And today we're going to get into sales tax and tip. We're actually not going to be doing commission this year, but we will discuss sales tax and tip today. All right, and go ahead and open to page 4. Once again, have your calculator. This is set up for you. So what I want you to notice, we're going to apply what we've learned from yesterday. We're going to use the percent equation in this unit. I will show you how they do these questions with the proportion, but I'm just going to quickly brush over that. So you can do a proportion, but I'm going to prefer the equation. So once again, we're talking about sales tax. So when you buy something at the store, you have to pay sales tax. Sales tax is different depending on what state you're in, what town you're in. And so once again, I like to start here with the percent. So the percent is P, and it's in this case, if it's a percent of sales tax, then this becomes the A becomes the amount of your tax, the part that you're paying that's tax. And this is the purchase price or the original or the whole. Okay, and as a reminder, this has to be in the decimal form. Anytime we do the equation, we have to have the decimal form of the percent. So here are our steps. We're going to set up and solve the equation. Once you have that, you're going to have to round to the nearest cent, which is the nearest hundredth. Okay, and and that's the tax that you're going to pay. If they ask you for the total price, then you're not just paying the tax. You have to pay the tax plus the purchase price to find the total price. So we're going to begin with a little Xbox question here. I know it's a little bit dated because it says Xbox 360, but so it says Austin purchases Madden 25 for $39.99. If sales tax in Fishers is 7%, how much will he pay in tax? So we're going to first start by going A equals P times W. And so once again, the easiest thing to spot is our percent. And once again, if you're going to get this answer right, you have to change your percent, 7%, into its decimal form. And so we are going to write 700ths. Now, in this case, if this is the percent of tax, the easy way to figure out where I'm putting things is label, and this would be the amount of tax. Well, this $39.99 is not the amount of tax. That was the original purchase price, so that is our whole. And we're going to put that here. And we will then have A. Notice A is already isolated, and so now all we have to do is multiply. We're going to take our calculator and go ahead and type in 0.07 times $39.99. Now, if you get a huge number like $279, then that's a good indication that you forgot to move your decimal point. What you should have had was 2.7993 and maybe even more. All right, and that is not what's going to come up on a cash register, though. So what the cash register is going to do is going to go back 2 place values, which is the hundredths, and we're going to look back. And this is 79 cents, so it's either going to become 80 cents or stay 79. But because there's a 9 behind the other 9, this 9 becomes 10, this 7 becomes 2, and so $2.80. And that would be the amount that you're paying in tax. Now, if the follow-up question says, what is the total cost? Well, you had to pay the $39.99, but you also have to pay, so you had to pay the price plus your tax. And so the tax was $2.80. We have to add that, and our total then would be $42.79 for the game with 7% sales tax. All right, now I'm going to quickly just show you that this can be done in the same way. Well, let's see, I don't have it up there, so I'm not going to worry. Well, I thought it was supposed to pop up, but apparently the proportion one didn't show up on the slide, so that was what this was supposed to show you. It was supposed to show you as a proportion. Oh, it is walking through it, but I'm not going to take the time to go through all that. So we're going to jump ahead, and I'm going to make you try to do it as equations today. And so now, tip, when you go to a restaurant, it's also known as gratuity. So if you see gratuity written on a menu somewhere, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about your tip. Normal tip is anywhere from 15 to 20%. depending on your service. And so as we look, once again, this is your percent of your tip, and this has to be in the decimal form once again. And if your P is the percent of tip, then the A becomes the amount of your tip, and W is your whole bill before you start. And so once again, you're going to do basically the same steps as we did for tax. You're going to set up and solve your equation to find the amount of the tip. However, you don't just have to pay tip when you go to the restaurant. You have to pay the tip plus the total. Also, we want to round. So when you have your calculator, you're going to end up with some ugly numbers often. And so we're going to round it. And to find the total cost, you are going to take the tip and you're going to add the bill to that. So as we go here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to practice finding the exact tip. And so once again, we're going to go A equals P times W. And in this case, the directions tell us they want us 15% tip. So once again, we need to change that percent into a decimal. So I'm going to put 1500ths, okay, as my P. And the whole bill in this case was $68.50. And I know in science class and things you put your labels, but we don't put the dollar sign in until the end. And now we have A. Once again, we go, and that would be the amount of my tip. If this is the percent of tip, then the A is the amount of your tip. So you're going to go ahead and multiply, and you take your calculator and you multiply, and you get 10.275. All right, once again, you need to round to the nearest hundredth. So this is either $10.27 or it's going to become $10.28. Behind the 7's a 5, so the 7 is going to become an 8. And so our tip would be $10.28. So if you had almost a $70 bill, you're going to pay about $10.28 in tip. All right. If I asked you for the total, then you would take the $68.50. Now you have to follow directions and add the tip to it to find your total. And so once again, our total then would be, let's see, I'm not using my calculator this time. So it looks like it would be $78.78 for the total. So this would be my tip. And in this case, that's all they asked us for. Okay. And we're going to come back and refer back to this in a moment. But so that's how we find the exact tip. So on number 2, we have A equals P times W once again. And once again, we're putting in a 15% tip. So once again, I'll put it in a different color just so we can see that it's 0.15. Our original bill this time is $31.53. And I'm looking for the amount of tip. And so we're going to go ahead and multiply, and you get, so 0.15 times $31.53, you're going to get 4.7395. Now, you don't necessarily have to write all this out, but now we're going to look. It's either going to stay $4.73 or become $4.74. Well, behind these 3 is a 9, so it's going to round up to $4.74 would be our tip in this case. Now, the question didn't necessarily say find the total, but if it did ask us for the total, we once again would do $31.53 plus the $4.74. And once again, you're going to add to get the total of, I believe, $36.27 for the total. All right, now, this might be a little confusing, so I want you to try it. You're actually not going to estimate on your homework tonight, but I want to teach you the life skill of tipping. So when you guys go to a restaurant, your parents most likely do not just randomly put down an amount of money. They are using estimation skills. And so in order to think of a 15% tip, what I want you to understand is 15% is the same as taking 10% of something and adding 5% of something. Now, what I want you to notice is, this is the important part for this. To find 10% of any number, all you have to do is multiply by 0.1. But that is not the mental math. Anytime you want 10% of something, all you have to do is move the decimal point over 1, okay, and 1 to the left. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Now, 5%, what I want you to notice is 5% is exactly half of 10%. So if you can mentally come up with a 10%, all you have to do is take half of your 10%, and you take your 10%, then you add your 5%. So let's go back and look at these two questions we just did. We had an answer of $10.28 for the first one and $4.74 for the second one. Now we're going to redo those, and I want to estimate. So this is what you would do at a restaurant in your head. So what I say is step one, round the bill, make your life easy. So this bill is approximately $70. So if I'm at this restaurant, I'm thinking to myself, this is $70. I want to leave a 15% tip. So I'm going to think of it as 10% and 5%. And if I took 10% and added 5% to it, I would have 15%. So 10%, all you have to do mentally is take that decimal point and move it over 1. So 10% of 70 is just $7. And 5% is exactly half of 10%. So if 10% is $7, half of that would be $3.50. So to get the grand total, my tip would then be approximately $10.50. And this is something that we can do mentally in our head. Most people, as we look at these type of questions. So as we look at number 2, $31.53, I'm going to think of it as approximately $30. Now this is a little lower than what the actual price is, so my tip's going to be slightly lower than it should be, but we can add a little bit extra to it if we need to at the restaurant. But 10% of 30 then, just move your decimal point over, is $3. 5% would be exactly half of the $3 then. Well, half of $3 is $1.50. So 5% would be $1.50, and so the tip would be $4.50. Okay, now, if you go back and think, I think on the first one we had an actual tip, an exact tip of $10.24, and on number 2, the exact tip was $4.74. So you can see, you can estimate rather quickly in your head using the 10% and 5% rule. All right, last one. This one takes a little bit of time, but we're going to go through it kind of quickly. And so you're going to Olive Garden. The bill without tax is $40.50. There is 7% sales tax, and you plan on leaving a 15% tip. What would your total payment be? And once again, we're not going to estimate the tip. Now, in real world, you would pretty much estimate the tip. Now, what we are going to do is we can't add these two together, because normally what happens is when you get the bill from the waiter or waitress, it's already going to have the tax included. So we are going to first figure out our tax. So step one is we're going to figure out our tax. So everybody write down, this is our step one, is find the tax. Well, 7% is our sales tax. So we are going to grab that decimal point and we are going to move it over, and 7% is really 7/100. Our bill was $40.50, and our A is going to be this then. So now we are going to go ahead and multiply, and when you multiply, you get 2.835. This is going to be the amount of tax, so we have to round. It's either going to be $2.83 or $2.84. Behind the 3 is a 5, so I'm going to make this $2.84. And that would be the amount of tax. But now we need the total with tax. So number 2, we're going to find the total with tax. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the $40.50, which we have to pay, and this is what the waiter or waitress will bring us, is the bill with the tax included. So you're going to see that the tax is added in, and so we have the $40.50. Take your calculator, put plus $2.84. We add those two together, and we get $43.34. Now we're going to take this amount, and we now need to figure out our tip. Okay, and so we're going to find our tip, and we're going to be generous people, so we're going to tip off of the bill with the tax, because that's what the waiter or waitress would bring to you. And we are supposed to be leaving a 15% tip. So once again, 15% tip would be 0.15. We now have a new whole amount, which is $43.34. That includes our tax. And we're now going to find our tip. So this is going to be the amount of our tip over here. And so we take our calculator and we're going to multiply 0.15 times 43.34, and you will get 6.501. Okay, you're going to underline the 0 because that's in the hundredths. Behind the 0 is a 1, so the tip is going to be $6.50. This would be our tip that we're now leaving. But the question says, what would our total payment be? So now I'm going to take the amount that had the tax included, and I'm going to add my tip to it, which is $6.50. I'm not going to add all of these other numbers together. I just have to add, this already has the tax in it, and now I just need to add the tip. And so you have those two amounts, and you add those two together, and you're going to end up with a bill of $49.84. All right, so that one's a little more time consuming. You have to find your tax first, then you can find your total with tax, then you're going to find your tip, add it in to get your grand total with tip and tax included. All right, your assignment is assignment 89. You're going to set up each one of these as an equation. Read your directions. You'll notice that on number 1, you're asked to find the tax, then you're asked to find the total. Number 2, you're asked to find the tax, you're asked to find the total. Number 3 is just like the question we just did, where we find the tax, then we have to find the tax with total with tax, then we have to find the tip, then we're finding the total with a tax and tip included. And then you have 4 other questions where you're going to be processing, is it tax, is it tip, and going from there. So you have the remainder of the period to work on this assignment. If you finish early, submit it, and then go ahead and knock out your IXL. Have a great day.